Spring practice is here, and for Ohio State, this is a continuation of their championship journey.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the number one sports podcast network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. During today's show, we will discuss what success during spring ball looks like, as well as position battles to watch during spring practice. But first, we have waited a few months for this time of year, and it has finally arrived. The Buckeye spring practice begins today. This is a great moment for guys like Julian, Sayin, and Jeremiah Smith to get back on the field, but it's also huge for a lot of transfers like a John Walker or a Hunter Welsing or a Terry Moore Jr. to come and put the scarlet and gray on for the very first time on this practice field and show everybody what they're made of. Now, the first few practices are all about the acclimation period, but this entire period of spring practices is the Buckeyes' continuation of their championship journey. This isn't the start. This is you continuing the work you've already been putting in to strive to win a championship in 2026, because that's the goal. You come to Ohio State to win championships, plural, Big Ten titles and national titles. That's why you come to Ohio State. You want to win. You want to beat Michigan. You want to beat everybody on your schedule. You also want to be the best at your position in the country and strive to make sure that your unit is the best in the country. That's why you come to Ohio State, to be coached hard, to be put in situations to test yourself, to see what you're truly made of. This isn't for everybody. But I believe Ryan Day has put a great group of guys together this year to accomplish the goals they have set out to accomplish every single year. Beat the team up north, win the Big Ten title, and win the national championship. And this year is one of those years where you have a veteran quarterback, you have Jeremiah Smith, who is the best offensive weapon in the country. You have two running backs that can be three down backs for you. You have a very experienced offensive line. You're trying to replace over half of your starters on defense from a year ago. However, you use the portal to bring in a guy like a Christian Allegro and a Qua Russaw to fill in the gaps and the holes that were left after last year's players left. This is a moment for Ohio State to get back on the football field, have a little fun, but also remember, this isn't the start of your journey. You're continuing the journey. And let's just say you haven't been a guy who's been all in and putting all the work in, and you haven't been pushing yourselves in the ways you need to be pushing yourself. Go ahead and start doing it right now. This is a great moment for you to kick it into high gear and say, I want to be great. I want to be the best player I can be. And while I haven't been working my hardest previously, it's time to put that work in and to turn it up a few notches. This is a great time of year. And if you're a Buckeye fan, get excited. The boys are back on the practice field. They're playing ball. It's one thing to be going through winter workouts and to be battling with your boys and to be testing yourselves physically and mentally away from the football field. But to get back on the football field, put the pads on, put the helmet on, to get out there and run a little bit, catch the ball, and really do what you believe you are made to do, man, that's exciting. This is an exciting time of year. Yeah, I know some of us are a little down. Some people are a little down because there's no Bo Jackson and no Isaiah West right now during the spring. That's okay. I guess perfectly fine. This isn't fall camp. If we were in fall camp and you're going through the first half of fall camp and your top two backs weren't able to go, then there'd be a little cause for concern. Yo, I am not worried about these guys not being here in the spring. No. Rest your body, rehab, do everything the trainers are asking you to do, and then make sure you're ready for the real thing in fall camp heading into what could be a very successful 2026 season. But this is all about ball and making sure you keep that championship mindset the entire time. Yesterday, we talked about Ryan Day's championship mindset. He must coach like a champion. Well, these guys must practice like champions. If I am Jeremiah Smith and Julian saying, I don't want to go through this year, which is probably going to be their last year's playing college football, and just go through the motions and just say, oh, we're going to lose 3 games. We're going to be comfortable just going through the motions and trying to crawl our way to the CFP. You shouldn't be comfortable with that. And with the way these guys compete, I don't believe they're comfortable with that. If there are guys on their team that start to slack and start to not do their part on the field, there are going to be guys like a Brandon Inniss. They're going to call you out and say, look, there's no reason for you to be acting like this. This isn't how champions practice. This isn't how champions function. There are going to be guys this year that are going to call guys out because they want to be great, not just individually, but as a collective team. They want to be great. And this is where you start to continue the work. Now you're going to have winter workouts. That's over. And then you have spring ball. You have summer workouts. You have fall camp. And then the season starts. Now, as you think about that in your head, think about, man, that's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to go with that goes into preparing your body for the season. But it's a lot, and it's worth it. Now, Ryan Day must do something very, very specific with spring ball while trying to continue the championship journey, have his finger on the pulse of the team. Because he can learn a lot from Curt Cignetti. I don't buy into all the Curt Cignetti psychological things that he does with his team. I think a lot of the stuff he does is on purpose, and he has acknowledged at times that his demeanor on the sidelines is on purpose to impact the players on the team. But there are things Curt Cignetti does that I think are very valuable and that Ryan Day can learn from. And one of them is not having practice too long, or maybe cutting the number of practices to make sure your team is as fresh as they can be, not just physically fresh, but mentally fresh. In the spring, I think you can understand and go through and be comfortable going with the normal 15 practices. But maybe the length has to be shortened, or maybe you have your finger on the pulse so well that you can extend the practice just a little bit. You don't have to extend it too long, but have your finger on the pulse of the team. That's not only to make sure that practice is the way that the team needs it to be, but also if guys are slacking, get on them. If guys are doing well, praise them. But always have your finger on the pulse of the team. And as he has his finger on the pulse of the team, everybody's looking at number 10. No matter if you're a newcomer or you've been there for a while, no matter if you're a seasoned assistant coach or if you're new like Arthur Smith, everybody is looking at Julian Sayin to try to figure out how he can tug himself, how he carries himself, what he demands of himself on the practice field. Because if he doesn't push himself, and if he is not someone that's turning up the intensity when it needs to be turned up, then that gives everybody else the liberty to do the same thing. And that's not the mindset of a champion. You're at Ohio State to win championships. Now, I know we say championship at times, but there are 2 championships you can win every single year: the Big Ten title and the national title. You're working towards winning both of those. If you slack off now, you might slack off in summer workouts. Then that might continue into fall camp. And then it might be something that becomes a problem in the regular season. But if you go hard now, that mindset and that work ethic might continue throughout the entire offseason into the regular season, and it could lead to the Buckeyes being very successful in 2026. With this being the first day of fall camp, there are numerous position battles that we should all watch, because there are certain players that can get the upper hand in the position battle to make sure they get all the playing time they deserve in the fall. This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local. Once again, head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Thank you for tapping in to Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. If you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now is the time. Again, you get ad-free shows and access to our group chat on Discord. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked on merch. Guys, it should be a lot of fun. Right now, you can use code MARCH. Once again, you can use code MARCH to get your first month free. Head to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Ohio State spring practice is going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure many of you are like me and you're geared up and maybe even geeked up to watch the Buckeyes on the practice field. But while you're watching them on the practice field, there are numerous position battles to watch this offseason. And normally, we don't really dive into all of them. But I can look up and down the roster at every position and say there's something intriguing to watch and to follow at every position as the Buckeyes strive to accomplish all their goals in 2026. And when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, let's just start there. I think my first focus goes on offense when it comes to position battles. It's who is going to replace Carnell Tate. There are two returning starters from last year's team at receiver in Brandon Inniss and Jeremiah Smith. The early thought is that Chris Henry Jr. is going to be the other starter on the outside as the other outside receiver alongside Jeremiah Smith this year. But then you bring in Devin McEwen and Kyle Parker, who I think are going to be guys that are going to push not only Chris Henry Jr., but also Brandon Inniss for playing time. Henry Jr.'s frame and his traits are different than McEwen's and Parker's, so it's pretty easy to say that Henry Jr. just has to do what's needed for him to take that job. However, I'm not sold that Parker and McEwen aren't able to steal some snaps from Brandon Inniss. Brandon Inniss is a guy that's very loyal. He's Ryan Day's guy. He's also been a captain and a big leader for this team, even before he got the vote to be a captain for the Buckeyes. And so for McEwen and Parker, I'm looking at them to see how they carry themselves, how they push Inniss. And it's possible that the Buckeyes run with 5 receivers this year. Inniss, Henry Jr., JJ, McEwen, and Parker. If they roll with 5 receivers and just rotate those guys, that could be the right formula for this team to be as successful as it can be. Running back, without the top 2 backs there, we're not looking for a guy to be competing to be the starter, but more so who separates themselves as RB3. To me, it should easily be Jacoby Jackson, a Florida transfer. However, you still have Favor Aki, Turbo Rogers, Legend Bay. All 3 of those guys are there. And I think this running back room with that foursome there is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the way that Carlos Loughlin coaches, you're going to be able to look at those guys and say, oh, man, they're pushing themselves. They're working hard. And when Isaiah West and Bo Jackson get back on the field in the fall, they're going to be pushed by those guys that went in spring ball because they're all competing to get on the field. At quarterback, it's not about Sayin. Sayin has his job on lock. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to take that away from him. But Justyn Martin and Tavion St. Clair, that's a battle for QB2. Some people are going to pencil in, or actually some may even go a little bit further and get a pin out and put it down on pen and paper that Tavion St. Clair is QB2. Don't say that to Justyn Martin, who spent time at Maryland and UCLA. A part of me believes that Justyn Martin may be athletic enough and may be smart enough to beat out the younger Tavius St. Clair to be QB2 this year. I love it. If he beats him out, great. You have the best guy there, not just handing it over to the guy who is the next up to be the starting quarterback for Ohio State. At tight end, is Nate Roberts the guy to start? I mean, Ohio State showed a lot of promise in him last year. I'm looking to see if he is the guy to start this year, along with the 2 transfer tight ends. Look to see how that room really shakes out. I say that knowing that Arthur Smith is going to lean on the tight ends a lot. It is going to use more heavy sets. I'm not a big fan of that. It's really going to annoy me this year if we have the same offense. If the Buckeyes have the same offense that they had last year, that'll be really annoying. That'll be something that'll get under my skin because last year's offense wasn't good enough. And when you have the weapons and the firepower Ohio State has at the skill position, don't take those guys off the field to go ahead and try to fill an agenda. No. Put your best players on the field that will allow you to have the ability to take control and dictate the terms of the game and put up a lot of points. On the offensive line, there's no competition. Well, there is. My main thought for the O-line, though, is what is the configuration of the starting 5? I would not be shocked if you see left tackle Ian Moore, right tackle Austin Serveld, or right guard Austin Serveld, right tackle Phillip Daniels. I wouldn't be shocked if Josh Padilla was in the starting lineup at right guard. I mean, there's a lot of configurations with the offensive line that would make sense. I hope they put Ian Moore in the starting lineup. It's going to push him, but it's also going to push everybody else on the team that's returning to say, oh, he's the next man up. He's getting the old blind side. We got to make sure that we got our jobs on locked in, because if not, Gabe Van Sickle might steal a spot, or a Josh Padilla might steal a spot. There are a lot of things to watch with this offensive line, but outside of the configuration, the position battles are going to be fun. Battle for left tackle, battle for right guard, battle for right tackle. I still believe that center and left guard are locked down, that nothing is going to change. Hinsman's going to be a starting center. Montgomery's going to be your starting left guard. And I don't believe there's anything that's going to change at all, unless Tyler Bowen and Arthur Smith get a little bit crazy and say, hey, Luke Montgomery, go to tackle. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it does, that opens up an avenue to allow a Josh Padilla play at guard. Or maybe they want to move Hinsman to guard instead of center. I'd be very comfortable. Left tackle Moore, left guard Montgomery, center Hinsman, right guard, give me Phillip Daniels or Josh Padilla, right tackle Austin Serveld. I'd be comfortable with that. I think the coaches will like it too, but these guys have to prove that they're ready for that role. That's the offense. We're going to spend more time on defense, because I think at every position, there's a long conversation when it comes to D tackle, when it comes to D end, when it comes to linebacker and the secondary. But while we spend more time on that in the very next segment, we must understand that for the offensive line to get to be where it needs to be, as good as it should be, the coaches must put the right guys on the field. No more of this mess of playing guards at tackle or playing tackles at guard. No. Get the right guys out there. If you believe that Ian Moore is the best tackle on the team, put him out there on the field and start him. There's no, oh, well, we would have played the older guy. No. That's silly. That's silly stuff. We have seen that too much with this team, where last year you played a lot of interior guys on the outside, and it came back to bite you at the end of the year. Previously, you played tackles at guard, ran through a lot of the Big Ten by working with that lineup, but when it came down to it, it wasn't the right move for the team in the biggest games of the year. So if I am Ryan Day, I am pushing and demanding, not just pushing, I am demanding that the coaches put players in their right spots. And then I think everything else will work itself out. What will also work itself out is the position battles to watch on defense. There are a lot of them at multiple positions. And just like the guys on the offensive side of the ball, the guys on defense must do what's needed right now during spring practice to separate themselves to gain the most playing time they could get in the fall. This is Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your speed. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payouts. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style. Now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Once again, head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. This episode is also brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy flavor draft. And many people that know me that are everydayers on this show, you know my first pick is going to go. It's with my favorite flavor, cherry. It has a bold cherry candy style flavor. It's sweet with a little tart edge, has a classic red fruit profile. It's smooth and easy to recognize, but also that pick that's slowly coming up and being my number two, but I've been sleeping on it for a really long time. It's Fruity Rainbow, has a bright blend of assorted fruit candy flavors. It's sweet and has layered fruit notes in every sip. It's playful and it has a multi-fruit taste profile. Guys, it's smooth and it has an easy drinking texture. Don't sleep on Fruity Rainbow. You also got to tap into cherry. Well, that's my number one pick. That might be your top pick as well. Find your new flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and for making this show your first listen of the day. Ohio State has a lot of position battles this offseason, and they're going to be fun to watch. More intriguing, more in-depth than normal when it comes to the spring ball position battles because who your backup quarterback is matter. Who your third string and even backup running back, who those guys are, those things matter. You know what also matters? Who is starting on the opposite side of Kenyatta Jackson Jr.? Because when you saw K-Jack and Caden Curry play big boy ball last year, be phenomenal Buckeyes, Caden Curry's gone, and you have to have the right guy to fill his shoes. You might not get the same production you got from Curry last year, but you hope you are able to get something close in his replacement. Right now, the running, Zion Grady and Qua Russaw, y'all battle it out. Y'all figure the thing out. Y'all battle every single day and scratch and claw and fight to be the other starting defensive end opposite Kenyatta Jackson Jr. That's your job. That's what you're trying to strive for. Both of you guys are going to start. I believe both could be great assets for this defense. Qua Russaw, to me, is more the guy that Matt Patricia wants off the edge. Not just an edge rusher, but also someone that can set the edge, is quick twitch, has the physicality needed. He can be that guy, but Zion Grady is just special. I mean, when you look at him on the field, even last year as a true freshman, you saw the flashes of a guy that might be a big-time player in the future. Well, right now, it's his time to shine. Steal the spot. Be the starter. Even though you got an Alabama transfer coming in, y'all are still teammates, but y'all are fighting every single day for that starting role. Go out there and seize it. Seize the day. Seize the opportunity to be that guy to start. At D tackle, this is going to be interesting. Tyrell Malone Jr. is gone. Cade McDonald, he's a future first-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. That leaves two spots. Now, Edric Houston, he's got one locked up. The other one, John Walker, Will Smith Jr., this is for y'all to battle. Let's not forget Jason Moore. I think he kind of gets slept on a little bit. He's been with the team for a few years now. He knows Larry Johnson. He knows what their demands are. But I think this is Jason Moore's year. I mean, we've been waiting, and once he's healthy and once he's able to get a little bit quicker on the interior, there's a real battle for him, not with other people, but for him to say, I am good enough to be in the rotation at Ohio State. I believe he is. I was very excited when the Buckeyes when he committed to Ohio State. This is a great opportunity for him to prove he is worthy of being in the rotation. I don't believe he's going to start. Edric Houston, John Walker, James Smith, those are the guys that are going to be the main interior guys for Ohio State. But Jason Moore can move up in the conversation. At linebacker, this is probably one of the easier spots because I think this is a Christian Allegro, Peyton Pierce year. This is no knock on TJ Alford or Riley Pettijohn. Those dudes are dogs too. But you don't bring in a Christian Allegro from Wisconsin without believing he's going to be a starter. And Peyton Pierce was viewed as a starter a year ago, even though he was the first linebacker off the bench. When you bring those two, when you have those two guys there at linebacker, it's their time to shine. And James Laurinaitis has a great eye for talent. He is phenomenal at making sure that he is developing players at the right level and getting them to play better than a lot of people projected that they would be at that point in time. They look at Arvell Reese last year. Look at Sonny Styles' transition to linebacker. He has been a great developer of talent. And I think with his eye for talent, it's hard for me to see Christian Allegro not starting. And I believe that not only will Peyton Pierce be the starter, he'll also be the green dot on the defense, which holds a lot of weight. But I also believe you could see Riley Pettijohn and TJ Alford push these guys for playing time this year. In the secondary, it's going to be fun. Terry Moore. I may have said Terry Moore Jr. It's Earl Little Jr. I forget the name that I said earlier. But Earl Little Jr., Terry Moore, the transfers that come in. You have Devin Sanchez and Jermaine Matthews Jr. Those spots are going to be locked up. You're going to see a great battle in the offseason between Cam Calhoun and Dominic McKinney. Calhoun from Alabama, McKinney from Georgia. Those guys are going to be battling to be the third corner for Ohio State. Let's not forget Jaylen McClain. And shame on me for not mentioning him more. He can assume that Caleb Downs' role on defense. I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if Patricia's going to put that pressure on him. But if there's anybody on this team that might be the best guy that's getting slept on right now, it's easily Jaylen McClain. So we marvel at Devin Sanchez in his future and at Jermaine Matthews Jr., what he's done well, and all these transfers coming in. Jaylen McClain is working yourself up to being a Buckeye you don't want to forget about next year. Let's not look into the season. Let's look to now. Jaylen McClain is going to be a player that's going to be a phenomenal playmaker for the Buckeyes defense. There was somebody last year, I did a show about Caden Curry being a playmaker, and somebody commented, I don't know if it was on Twitter or on the YouTube, and they said he plays defensive end. He's not a playmaker. And I'm thinking to myself, do you watch football? Because I don't think you do. Look at Caden Curry play. No matter if it's special teams or if he's playing defense, homie is a playmaker. Block punt, that's him making a play. A strip sack, that's him making a play. A sack in general, that's him making a play. You don't have to be a skill position player to be a playmaker. I know that's where this thought normally lies, but there are a lot of guys on defense that make plays. Ray Lewis was a playmaker. I'm going way back. You know who else was a playmaker? Sonny Styles. He was a playmaker. Chase Young, a playmaker. The Bosa brothers, playmakers. Jordan Fuller, a playmaker. You understand where we are going. Jaylen McClain is a playmaker, and he will be one this year, and he's going to be one of those guys you don't want to forget about. Yeah, the transfers get a lot of attention. They're the new kids on the block. The returning guys, a lot of them are going to get attention because we remember them. For some reason, even last year, a lot of people didn't talk about Jaylen McClain enough, and that needs to change. Those are a lot of position battles on every position. Some are for starting spots. Some are for key positions in the key rotation players. I don't know where I was going with that. But where we're going with the show is just kind of thinking about this team. Remember, this is not the start of a championship journey. This is the continuation of it. And for Ryan Day to look out there and to see practice and to know what it looks like to have a championship practice and what it looks like to have success in spring, while he has his pulse on the team, Ryan Day knows what success looks like. It's fluid, being very fluid. I'm trying to use a different word, and it backfired. We'll try again another day. Being very fluid in your reps, not taking reps off, running through the line, A to B plus 2, through the echo of the whistle every single snap. If the coaches realize that somebody is slacking and they're a step slow, blow that whistle, run it again, run it again, run it again until they get it right. You must make sure that practice is successful. And Ryan knows what a successful practice looks like. Everything's in sync. Everything's in tune. There might be a little physicality. There might be guys butting heads. There might be guys that are getting annoyed with each other. I don't think fights in practice are bad at all. I think it's actually pretty good. We have a few scuffles in practice. Don't let things get too crazy, but getting a little roughed up and getting a little physical, that's okay. That shows the fight, the grind, and also that you're striving for something bigger than yourself. I'm thinking about this scene from Remember the Titans when there are a couple players that were getting into it, and Denzel Washington held the coach back and said, "Oh, no. Let them go. Let them go." And those guys went at it for a little bit. The captain shut stuff down. I think it was Gary Bertier. The next thing you know, after the very next play, there was a big play, a pop, and Gary Bertier was hyped. Why? Because they were getting things done. The previous play wasn't good enough. The next play was the way it needed to be. There was a pop off a option run, not a V or an option run. And the next thing you know, that pop led to a very happy captain because the players got it right. And sometimes a successful practice is led by the players. It's not all led by the coaches. If it's led by the players and the players police themselves, and with all these position battles, everybody's realizing if we handle business and if we police ourselves and if we control the things that we need to for us to be champions, we're taking steps in the right direction for the Buckeyes to have a very successful 2026 football season. Thank you for tuning in to Locked on Buckeyes. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked on Buckeyes so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked on Buckeyes ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked on Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked on College Basketball. You can follow me on Twitter or any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.